Welcome to Am I an A-hole? Where OP experiences a traumatic breakup. And after her breakup, when she asks her male friends to hang out, they respond, "Is this a booty call?" This response from OP's so-called friends left her heartbroken and devastated. Let's dive into it. I, 31-year-old female, went through a difficult breakup that ended in a traumatic way. My ex-boyfriend, Oliver, 32-year-old male, got upset over something minor I was hurt by, and his reaction was so intense that my dog, who never sits in the bathroom with me, ran to the bathroom and sat beside the shower. I told my boyfriend that it's okay for him to be upset with me, but I asked him to consider the well-being of our dogs and not let his anger towards me affect them. I requested that he comfort the dogs and let them know he wasn't mad at them. However, he responded by yelling, "Why should I care about the dog's feelings when you don't care about mine? You care more about the dog than me." He then walked over and pet my dog so hard that she assumed a submissive pose and started to crawl away, while he said, "See, I'm sorry, Max." It really upset me. He got even more offended that I was making him look like the bad guy and suggesting he was being mean to the dogs. He angrily said, "I'm leaving." This was the fourth or fifth time he had stormed out in just the past week. I apologized and pleaded with him to calm down, as I had just finished getting ready for an event that he had wanted to attend. However, he was consumed by rage. He then left, slamming all the doors. When he left, I locked the door because I was scared. After locking the door, I noticed he had left his keys on the table, and shortly after, he returned and began banging on my door, aggressively shaking the handle, demanding his keys to be returned. I rushed to unlock the door, but he was so aggressive that he broke the lock, making it impossible for me to open it. He insisted that he didn't break it and accused me of overreacting and not opening the door. After some struggle, he managed to break the lock in the correct manner, allowing me to finally open the door. He came in and started demanding his keys. "Where are my keys?" acting like I had stolen them. I said, "Right where you left them." He grabbed the keys, slammed the door, and left. As he was leaving, I said, "Don't ever come back here." It just slipped out. I didn't want to break up with him. My roommates were in the living room and heard everything. Besides them, two male friends were also present in the apartment at that time and witnessed the entire argument between us. Later, my roommates asked me if I was okay and mentioned that they had heard some concerning things and assured me that they wouldn't pry, but that they were always available to talk. I have known those two male friends for around 10 years, originally through work, but they are now mainly friends with my boyfriend and roommates. I don't hang out with them directly, but am friendly. One of them, Henry, 32-year-old male, is my ex, who ghosted me for years, but stayed friends with my boyfriend and roommates, and is back in town, so occasionally I see them in passing. Last week, my ex-boyfriend Henry asked to hang out for a bit this week. I told him that my boyfriend won't be around anymore. He responded with, "Wait, does that make this a booty call?" I was taken aback, since we aren't close at all anymore since he ghosted me for about 3 years. And because this breakup was devastating, and the first response I get is about smashing, I responded, "My heart isn't in my booty right now." And he responded with some other quip, and I hung up the call. My other male friend, James, 33-year-old male, who also knows about my fight with my boyfriend, sent a heartfelt long message about how I don't deserve to be abused. He then followed it up with, "Send bobs and vagine." This also felt extremely hurtful. I no longer want him in my life either. He alternated between, "I'm joking," and, "I can't help it, I have needs and miss you." I don't think my so-called friends see me as a human. They think of me as a sex doll. I want them banned from our apartment, but don't know if it is too much to ask my roommates. I want Redditor's opinion on 2 things. My boyfriend Oliver has been a nice man, however. For about a month, he has been very aggressive, but I don't know why. Deep inside, I don't want to break up with him, but I am confused what to do. So, should I reach out to my boyfriend? The other thing is, how to handle my so-called friends, Henry and James. The OP's relationship with her so-called friends, Henry and James, is complex, and it has and will always put her in difficult situations. The OP should inform her roommates about the behavior of these so-called friends and request that they be banned from the apartment. If the roommates do not agree, the OP should consider moving out and cutting off all ties with these friends. It is important to stand up for yourself. As far as OP's boyfriend, Oliver's behavior is concerned, it is not justifiable. However, if he has only been exhibiting this behavior only for the last month, OP should talk to him to understand the reason for his toxic behavior and work on addressing the underlying problem. Breaking up is not the only solution. You need to talk to your partner. Communication is the key to a successful relationship. Let's now move on to another Am I the AH, where OP's estranged father transferred all his money and property to OP after catching his second wife cheating and realizing he was wrong in kicking OP and his mom out of the home. He left his second wife and her children with nothing. Now, OP's stepmom is asking him to share the property. It is a very interesting story of broken bonds. Let's dive into it. The roots of the story go back 20 years when I was 13, living with my alcoholic father and terminally ill mother. My father was a horrific person, and he did so many bad things to my mom that I don't remember them all. When my mom was terminally ill, my father didn't spend a penny on her, and she died without any treatment. Instead of taking her to the hospital, my father used to yell at her for being so sick. My father was cheating on my mom, so he used to spend most of his money on his girlfriend, and after some time, he even stopped contributing to household expenses. The worst thing he did was he tried to sleep with my mom's sister while my mom was still alive. After my mother passed away, my father burned all the family photos of us. He also sold my mom's easel, which she had owned for most of her life and was sentimentally valuable, not just to me, but also to my aunts and uncles. My dad ended up damaging a lot of my mom's belongings when he moved her in. My aunts and uncles took them and stored them, and we went through them when I was 20. Following my mother's death, I moved in with my aunt, and my father and his second wife started living in our house. Over the next 7 years, I visited my father a few times, but our relationship was always strained. When I was 20, I moved to New York for a job, and that's when I decided to become estranged from my father. I didn't contact him, and he also didn't try. I changed my contact information and moved on. However, I stayed in touch with my maternal aunts and uncles, but I never asked them about my father. Despite this, they often updated me on what was going on in my father's life. Around 2 years ago, my father caught his wife cheating on him, which broke him. Instead of divorcing his wife, he secretly transferred the money he had to me and put my name on the deed of a family vacation home that he and my mom had owned prior to her death. That was the biggest chunk of everything he owned. He left his second wife and children with nothing. He also didn't own the house they were living in, and that we had all lived in before. It was his friend's house. I was never sure how it worked, but he never paid for it while I was living there. When he was on his deathbed, he sent me a letter where he told me he had given me all of that, so it was mine outright, and because he wanted to make up for his mistakes in a small way. After my father's death, his widow attempted to sue for a fair share of his assets. However, her case did not progress as the assets had been legally transferred to me before his passing. I did not attend the funeral and was surprised to hear from her. I still don't know how she got my contact information. She mentioned that I should take care of my family and want better for the children she and my father had together. She expected me to want a relationship with them. I made it clear that I did not consider her children my family, as my relationship with their father had ended long ago. She argued that it was unfair for me to be so cold to my own flesh and blood, claiming they had been mistreated by their father and now by me. She insisted that I owed them something, but I disagreed. I ended the call and blocked her, but she continued to reach out through social media, calling me selfish and cruel and questioning my morals. So, Ida, for refusing to give any of the money my late father gave me before his death to his widow and other children? The OP is not an AH, and he doesn't need to give a penny to his stepmom. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.